Norman Foster was a British architect born in 1935 in England. With middle-class working parents, Foster grew up observing his father's electrical engineering work, which he designed different parts such as generators, steam turbines, and railroad equipment. At an early age, Foster quickly began to develop interest in the design process and became fascinated with trains, airplanes, and the parts that created them. Foster also enjoyed reading books. Two of the books which he was known particularly interested in as a youth included Le Corbusier's Towards a New Architecture and another published project by Frank Lloyd Wright. As a teenager, Foster was persuaded by his father to begin pursuing a career as a treasury officer in Manchester, England. While working in a department, Foster would hear stories about a co-worker's son studying architecture, which would later fuel his interest in pursuing a design career. After briefly working at the Treasury office and inspired by his fascination with trains and airplanes, Foster joined the British Royal Air Force for 2 years of service. On a side note, this lifestyle sort of typically reminded me of the Futurist movement and the Italian architects, sort of like Sant'Elia and the early 20th century movement, which emphasized speed, technology, not necessarily the violence, but the speed and technology definitely. Foster began pursuing his bachelor degree at the University of Manchester in 1956. It was noted that Foster did not receive any grants for school and decided to work odd jobs, including a bar bouncer and also at local bakeries, to pay for tuition. After completing his undergraduate degree in 1961, Foster then decided to move to America after earning a scholarship to the Yale School. While studying at Yale, Foster would meet his future partner, Richard Rogers, and the two would travel around the U.S. to see different architectural masterpieces. It was on that trip that Foster was able to physically see and absorb the inspirational organic works of Frank Lloyd Wright, after already being inspired by the works of Oscar Niemeyer, Mies van der Rohe, and Le Corbusier. Shortly after returning home to Britain in 1963, Foster Rogers and two of his other Yale friends, Wendy and Georgie Cheeseman, started an architectural practice called Team 4. The team instantly began to focus on high-tech industrial and residential design, quickly gaining notoriety around Britain. After 4 years, Team 4 would eventually separate, and Norman Foster and his soon-to-be wife, Wendy Cheeseman, would go on to create the firm Foster and Associates, soon to be named Foster and Partners, would quickly begin to revolutionize public, commercial, industrial, and residential high-tech design. So the firm would quickly gain international attention for its very diverse projects and integration of high-tech design. Foster and Partners would also have long-term collaborations with different architects, such as Buckminster Fuller, and would later say how much he actually inspired them. One of Foster's first internationally acclaimed buildings, the Willis Faber and Dumas headquarters, constructed between 1970 and 1975 in Ipswich, England, is known as a historical landmark and also a major contributor to the high-tech style. The structure consists of an organically shaped commercial building which challenged the historic postmodern and international style of the city before it. The building's layout also challenged the traditional office settings by offering different amenities, including a continuous open office layout, a community pool, rooftop restaurant, continuous interior gardens, and a roof terrace, creating a comfortable internal continuity of the urban edge. The building has a custom-designed solar tinted curtain wall, which exceeded the technical limits of glazing at the time. Foster and Associates also utilized the raised office flooring to integrate mechanical systems and utilize the upcoming rise of computerized information technology. So, so to the left is a picture of the original pool. I think since then, the pool has been covered in to make more office space, but still pretty cool idea of community office atmosphere. And to the right is a restaurant, the rooftop terrace restaurant garden, which three escalators actually led straight up to it, which was supposedly unheard. Here's another nice shot of the building's urban edge. So two of Foster's next major internationally acclaimed projects between the 70s and 80s included the Sainsbury Center of Visual Arts in 1974 to 1978. The Sainsbury Center was again based off of Foster's idea of continuity of flexible space and connection to the exterior urban edge. It utilized a glass infill and steel shell structure, which was a theme of Foster and Associates when they first started in the early 70s. Foster also practiced his theory of integration by housing service systems within trusses and the external skin, leaving large open ground plans for and flexible space for the museum, which has kept it pretty relevant throughout the years. The Hong Kong and Shanghai banking headquarters utilized new prefabrication methods, suspension floor systems, large atriums, open roof terraces, multi-story escalators, and different light schemes. The building was also based on Foster's ideas of integration of flexible spaces by having open floor plans and placing mechanical systems to the outer perimeter of the structure. The open floor plans of the Hong Kong building also is said to have allowed the building to continuously reprogram itself throughout the years, and keeping also. In the early 2000s, Foster and Partners won the commission for one of the most recognized buildings of contemporary architecture, the 30 St. Mary Axe in London, UK, also known as the Gherkin. The Gherkin is a 41-story commercial building described as London's first ecological high-rise. It was based off a circular path with a tapering skin defined by constraints of the site. The circular shape of the structure is embedded with 6 axial shafts, creates an efficient integrated ventilation system described by Foster as lungs. It also creates a double glazing effect to allow for passive ventilation, cooling, and heating throughout the year. In my opinion, this design begins to showcase elements of high-tech organic design combined with fundamentals of the current green movement. You can see to the left is one of the original models that they made, showing the little shafts that allow for ventilation and lighting. So the Hearst Tower is also another one of Foster's most widely known works, and probably an iconic building of the contemporary architecture movement. It was completed in 2000, between 2000 and 2006, and it was a renovation of an older building in which they kept the skin of the older building and integrated into the new design. So it was labeled as the first green high-rise in New York, gaining a LEED gold standard. And the diagrid frame also reduced construction materials by supposedly 20 to 30%. Throughout his path of success, Norman Foster has helped define the high-tech integrated design movement of the contemporary style. Foster and his partners have consistently challenged different norms of office culture, construction methods, and efficient designs while continuing to this day to pursue futuristic and innovative commissions, including a newly constructed spaceport and space colony concept. Like Norman Foster once said, as an architect, you design for the present with an awareness of the past for a future which is essentially unknown.